guys, Dr. Will here. As promised, I hope you enjoyed the upper body workout last week. Today we're going to hit lower body, same format. I'm going to take you guys from beginning to end through a traditional lower body workout that not only I would take myself through, but that I program for my clients. So as you all know, I like to start with some steady state cardio. This could be going for a walk, rower, elliptical. Then we're going to get into our foam rolling routine, which we're going to have linked below. And now we're going to get into our specific warm-up, where we're going to go through a couple of stretches and exercises to prepare our hips and our lower body for what's to come. So we're going to start with my favorite, which is the world's greatest stretch. Okay? So here we're going to take a deep lunge, drop our knee down, and reach. And I'm focusing on opening up this leg, stretching the back leg as well. Switching sides. Opening like so. From here, we're going to go into a 90-90 position. We're going to have one hip at a 90-degree angle and my other hip at a 90-degree angle. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to lean over the front hip like so. You can even rotate a little bit, get a good stretch through that front leg. We're going to switch. Again, 90-90. Lean over the head. Final stretch we're going to do. We're going to sit back and do a child's pose. Make sure the lower back is nice and warmed up. Get a little bit of core activation. Sink our hips to one side. Sink our hips to the other side. Walk our hands. All right, this is one of those positions you can just kind of play in for about 60 seconds or so. Let your hips move around. Take a wider grip. Drop your head through. Just staying forward and back. So we're going to do 60 seconds in child's pose. Now that we've gone through our lower body warm-up, we're going to get into our strength training. So that's coming up next. So let's talk a little bit about squatting. So squatting is a great exercise. It's a fundamental movement pattern. There's a lot of very safe ways to squat. It's a great way to build leg strength, and it's something that you should be comfortable doing most of your life. However, traditional barbell back squatting and front squatting can be very, very hard on your spine, especially if you're not somebody that has the time to do enough stretching, to do mobility, to see the chiropractor. Maybe you don't get enough sleep, you don't eat right. You're putting yourself at risk potentially for a lower back injury by doing heavy squatting on a regular basis, when there's a lot of other exercises that can give you the same amount of muscle activation with much less risk of injury, and you can open up your hips a little bit. One of these is the split squat. So those of you that have gotten programming from me know that I absolutely love the split squat, the lunge, the single leg squat. To me, it's really the foundational lower body strength training movement. What we're going to do is just a regular split squat here. So I'm going to put my left foot in front of my right. I'm going to just tap my knee down to the ground. I'll come back up. Staying nice and balanced. My torso is staying bent forward a little bit, but not hunched over my front. So we're going to do 4 sets of 8 repetitions per side. The other thing you guys will notice is that when I'm doing this exercise, I am letting my knee come over my toes, right? I'm not worried about the knee coming over the toe as long as my entire foot is loaded. When we start to run into a little bit of trouble is when the knee comes over the toe and we lift the heel up, right? So we want to keep the foot nice and flat, lunge down in a very linear way. It's a great way to activate the glutes, hamstrings, and quads. And again, very minimal spinal load. We don't have a bar on our back. We have dumbbells in our hands. So we're able to get a great lower body activity without stressing the spine. The next exercise we're going to do, we want to work our posterior chain, right? So primarily with the split squat, working the quads. Now we want to work glutes and hamstrings. One of the best ways to do this is hip hinging, right? We're gonna put out a video shortly of myself and the owner of this gym talking through the hip hinge and the hip thrust. But the exercise that I want to show you guys today is the single leg dumbbell RDL. This is a great exercise for balance, hamstring activation, and core activation. So whenever we're working the lower body, we want to try to incorporate as many of those variables as possible, especially if we want to stay injury-free. So I'm going to come over to this bench right over here. And to start, I'm going to use the bench for support, okay? I'm then going to kick my left leg back and bring the dumbbell right over my toes and reset. So I want to go down just until I feel a good stretch in the hamstring and come back up. And I want to avoid rotating through the torso. So straight down, straight out. If you want, you can just use 1 or 2 fingertips on the bench and challenge your balance a little bit more. You're going to go down and up just like so, without rounding the spine. Then we're going to switch sides, down and up. And I'm just creating like a teeter-totter effect, right? My chest is coming down, my legs going back, and I'm hinging just like so. So for this exercise, we're going to do 4 sets of 10 repetitions per side. Okay, you should feel a really good burn in the hamstrings. With this one, start light, work your way up. So maybe on that first set, you start with 20s. By the time you're in your 4th set, work your way up to 40. But progressively build, because your balance will improve, your coordination will improve throughout the sets. Okay. Now we've done our 2 primary strength training movements, right? We've done a single leg squatting variation, and we've done a hinging variation. Now we're going to do some accessory work. Okay. So for our accessory work today, what we're going to work is we're going to touch on the hamstrings again, right? Most people may or may not know that the hamstrings do hip extension and they also do knee flexion. So we want to train both heads of the hamstring. We're also going to train the inner thigh and the groin. That's one of those areas that's often overlooked, and if it's not trained properly, you can end up tearing your groin, pulling your groin, even while you're working out, let alone if you play sports and things like that. So one of the best ways to work the groin is with what's called a Copenhagen plank. So for this accessory superset, we're going to alternate one exercise with the other, just like we did in the upper body workout. But now we're going to alternate the Copenhagen plank with a leg curl. Okay? So with the Copenhagen plank, we're going to go on our side, and now instead of planking on the bottom leg, we're going to plank through the top leg, just like so. And I'm going to hold this position, get good activation of the groin there, and just breathe. We're going to hold for 20 to 30 seconds on that side, and then switch to the other side. Same thing. 20 to 30 seconds, good inner thigh activation, just like so. 20 to 30 seconds on each side of that exercise, and we're going to head right over to the leg curl. Now in this case, we're using a lying leg curl machine. So I'm going to lie down in the machine, and I'm just going to simply bring my heels to my butt. I want to make sure that I'm not tensing my low back. I'm just using this muscle behind the thigh, really controlling the weight on the way down and exploding on the way up. And we'll do 12 to 15 repetitions there. So again, 3 sets, 20 to 30 seconds, 3 sets, 12 to 15 reps. Now we're going to finish with a little conditioning piece where we're going to incorporate some core, some dynamic lower body, and some quadriceps, okay? So again, we're going to work in a series of 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a clock for 12 minutes. We're going to do 12 step-ups, 6 on each side, just like so, stepping up on the bench. No weight here. Just like so. We're then going to take some light dumbbells, and we're going to do a dumbbell jump squat. We're going to squat halfway down, jump. 12 repetitions there, and then 12 repetitions of shoulder taps from a tall plank. And each tap is 1 repetition. So again, we're going to finish with a nice little conditioning piece. It's a great way to be time efficient, so you can get your heart rate up. You can also burn out your legs in only 12 minutes. So again, 12 step-ups, 6 per side, 12 squat jumps, 12 plank shoulder taps. as many as you can in 12 minutes, okay? Now that we're done with our strength training, we hit our split squats, we hit our RDLs, we did our accessory work, we did our conditioning, and now it's time to stretch.